Special time at 2 p.m. Would everyone please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Once again, good afternoon, and we welcome everyone who could be here this afternoon, as well as those listening via the internet. For the record, I will state that all school board members are present, along with our school board attorney, Ted Doran, and our superintendent is here as well, Mr. Egner. Do we have any public input? Any cards? Okay. So we will move on then, and the purpose of this meeting is to narrow down the selection of candidates, of which we currently have 7, and to narrow this list down to a number whichever the board chooses to narrow it down to. So there's no absolute number, and that will depend on our thoughts and our comments as we move through this meeting. Before I ask you about your individuals that you would like for the board to interview as a finalist, do any board members have any questions about up to the process, about where we are now? Any questions for our consultants? I don't see anyone with any questions, so that's fine. Identifying the candidates that we would like to, again, interview as a finalist for this position, I will remind you again that you don't have to pick any specific number. You can pick 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, or 1. So that is totally up to you. Mr. Reichert, would you like to comment?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Certainly we're here to answer any questions the board might have, but what we'd like to kind of run through our protocol today would be at the appropriate time in a few minutes that chairpersons would more or less ask for any comments from board members about the candidates after you've had some time to look at them. We'll kind of make one circle around to have comments, and maybe after the first round, should there be a board member that wants additional comments to follow, just to kind of discuss some of the candidates, we'll kind of repeat that process until the board has kind of exhausted discussion. And then at that point, we'll kind of go, I think the chair would like to go by district call for votes, and we will assist in recording, those persons that you are interested in seeing being identified as a finalist. Dr. Vogel?
Yes. What will happen, every board member has one of these sheets in front of them, I believe. What will happen is this: as we start talking, members indicate as individuals that they would like to bring in for an interview. So if that happens, then if all 5 board members want to, then there's no question about that. As we go through the list, there may be some candidates that none of the board members feel they want to bring in. So those will be eliminated. If there are candidates that maybe 2 or 3 board members would like to bring in, those are candidates that the board will go into further discussion on. And then the board will eventually arrive at the number of candidates that they would like to bring in for an interview.
Right, and I guess one of the most important things now is to make sure that we're lining this up right, that the name matches the number on the tally sheet. So just in the numerical order, it was Dr. Ronald Scott Fritz was number 12, Dr. Christopher J. Caldwell was 15, Anthony Anderson was 21, Dr. David Kenneth Moore was 23, Dr. Peter Licata was 34, Dr. Kenneth Hurst was 36, and Dr. Patrick Spray was 39. When you are commenting, you can go either way. If you want to say 34, 36, 39 is easiest for you.
After every board member submits theirs, we will verify with each other, and it's possible at the end of this session that there may be some that we need to change too, based on hearing from the other board member too, and that's fine too. Before we leave, we'll have that.
Okay, so board members, let me get your preference on this, because I want you to feel absolutely comfortable and do it the way you want to do it. Do you wish to announce your names, then go around the room? We'll all each announce our names, and then I could go back to any board member if you want to comment about why you feel the way you do about a certain candidate, particularly if in the event where, let's say we had 3 definite ahead of the, got the most votes, but there was a 4th candidate that may have been tied first, very close. And if you wanted to advocate for your candidate, certainly want to give you that opportunity. Does that sound fair? And yes, Ms. Wright? Yes, Ms. Haynes? That sound okay?
I'm ready.
Okay, good. All right, then I think our board members are ready to go and eager to start. So let's start then. Ms. Haynes, you're always number one. You're number one. And so go ahead, Ms. Haynes, and just tell us.
So I'm actually going to give them, I will say their name, but I'm going to give them in the numerical order that they're listed. This is not in preference for.
Right, and I should say that because we are not ranking, so just because the first name you throw out doesn't mean that's your top choice.
Correct, thank you.
Yep.
So the first candidate that I would like to interview as a finalist is number 12, Dr. Ronald Scott Fritz. The second candidate I would like to interview as a finalist is number 23, Dr. David Kenneth Moore. The third candidate I would like to interview as a finalist is number 34, Dr. Peter Licata. And I'm finished.
Thank you.
Mrs. Haynes has recommended for interview number 12, Dr. Scott Fritz, number 23, which is Dr. David Moore, and number 34, which is Dr. Pete Licata.
Great, thank you, Ms. Haynes. Where am I here, Miss Wright? I'm sorry. You're sitting right next to her. I couldn't figure this out.
Mine's mirror pretty much Ms. Haynes, number 12, Dr. Fritz, number 23, Dr. Moore, number 34, Dr. Licata, and then I did have 2 that I am torn between, number 15, Dr. Caldwell, and number 21, Anthony Anderson.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Wright.
Ms. Wright would like to consider for interviewing number 12, Dr. Scott Fritz, number 15, Dr. Chris Caldwell, number 21, Mr. Anthony Anderson, number 23, Dr. David Moore, and number 34, Dr. Pete Licata. Thank you.
Ms. Cuthbert, are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Go right ahead.
Good afternoon. I would like to recommend as finalist Dr. Ronald Scott Fritz, candidate number 12. Let's see. Also candidate 23, Dr. David Kenneth Moore. And candidate 34, Dr. Peter Licata. And then as I went through the tallies of all the people who voted for whom, there was one person who missed the cutoff by 9 votes. And I saw the letter, there were no females recommended. And then I looked at quite a few of the females on the superintendent search committee. A lot of those females I quite admire, and almost all of them voted to have Dr. Dawn McGrath on there. So as a fourth individual, I would like to add Dr. Dawn McGrath.
And what was Don McGrath's number?
Number 20.
She is, I have it on here, she's number 20.
Got it.
It's Dr. Dawn McGrath, okay.
I'll wait till they verify, and then you'll be next.
Okay, got that. Mrs. Cuthbert would like to interview number 12, Dr. Scott Fritz. Number 23, Dr. David Moore. Number 34, Dr. Pete Licata. And number 20, Dr. Dawn McGrath.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Cologne?
Thank you.
You're next.
Well, actually, I'm going to go last. They want me to go last.
So, Ms. Cuthbert brought it up. I had a conversation with one of the young ladies that sent us the letter earlier today. And for the record, my decision to select my folks is based on their merits. 52% of the committee was female, just for the record. And so in having a conversation with one of the folks who sent us that letter, I'm comfortable in making these recommendations in no particular order. Number 12, Mr. Ronald Scott Fritz, Dr. Ronald Scott Fritz. Number 23, Mr. David Kenneth Moore. And number 34, Dr. Peter Licata. And that's what I have. Thank you. 56%, I apologize. So 56% of the committee members were females, 14 out of the 25. Thank you.
And you want to
Okay,
verify?
Mr.
Yes.
Cologne has recommended for interview number 12, Dr. Scott Fritz. Number 23, Dr. David Moore. Number 34, Dr. Pete Licata.
That is accurate. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And so my recommendations for candidates to be interviewed are Dr. Fritz, Dr. Moore, and Dr. Licata.
Number 12,
12, 23, and 34.
23, and 34. Chairman, Mr. Persis, has recommended for interview number 12, Dr. Scott Fritz. Number 23, Dr. David Moore. And number 34, Dr. Pete Licata. Okay? So our finals here, totals are, count these here.
34 is 5. 1, 1, and 1.
12, 23, and 34, all have 5, correct? 12, 23, and 34. The board, the three top individuals are number 12, Dr. Scott Fritz, number 23, Dr. David Moore, and number 34, Dr. Pete Licata. And all three of those individuals have 5 votes. The other individuals that receive votes are number 15, Chris Caldwell with 1, number 21, Anthony Anderson with 1 vote, and Dr. Dawn McGrath, number 20, with 1 vote.
Well, I think it's great that the 3 top candidates got all 5 of our votes. I mean, it doesn't get any cleaner.
And it was also what the committee recommended, too.
Yeah, and they got the most votes from the committee, correct. Mr. Cologne is exactly right. Yes, Ms. Haynes, and that's right. This is a time for any comments if you'd like to make some. So I'll start with Ms. Haynes.
So I'd like to also add that I did too read the letter that the email we received today about the females. And in reading all of the resumes as they were coming in, I was also impressed with number 20, Dr. Don McGrath. However, what I looked at is, even though, Ted, you're saying 56% of the committee was females, the night that they voted, there were 3 males that were absent from the committee. So actually, the females made up approximately 64% of the committee that night. Wow. And in looking at what those 25 individuals did, I really appreciated all of their hard work. And in doing the additional work and reading the responses, the written responses and everything, I felt even the written responses fell in line with what the committee had recommended to us, and I wanted to honor their recommendation. And so I'm actually, happy to see the results as they came out.
Yeah. Ms. Wright, do you want to make any comments?
I'm happy with the 3 and ready to make a motion.
Yeah, okay, just hang on to that thought, hang on to that thought. Ms. Cuthbert, any comments?
I too, the top 3 are extremely outstanding, and I think that's where the hard work will be.
Yes.
I did contact Dr. McGrath today, and she alluded to me, she knew it would be a long shot, but I also know she was so close to the cutoff, that 10 votes. I know Indiana very well, and she said she did teach in Miami-Dade County for a while. And also, as a member of the board for the state of Florida, I can't remember exactly, but special education, I cannot remember exactly what it was. But she said a lot of Indiana people come to Florida to look at our programs, to look how we run things. She said Indiana emulates a lot of what what Florida does.
Yeah.
And the political climate is very similar in Indiana as it is here. So I wanted to make sure, at least to recognize her, much like I recognized another individual when she was running for interim superintendent, principal that we had before. So it's worthy. It's a long shot when somebody sticks their neck out as well. And also, we had someone from the inside, Miss Letitia Roman, who put her neck out as well. To me, being superintendent is a service. It's not just for accolades. It's very hard work, is it not, Mr. Agner? It's very difficult work, very hard work, but it's a service. Just like when we are educational leaders, it is a service to our students. And one thing I noticed that all of these candidates had in common was service to our students. I was impressed with Dr. Licata's one message to all. I was impressed with Dr. Moore's details, attention to details. We knew exactly where he was standing, exactly what he was going to do. And also Dr. Licata as well was detailed and specific. So I think these top 3, that's where our hard work is going to be.
Thank you, Ms. Cuthbert.
Identified.
And Mr. Colon?
So I must say, I'll start off with you guys were right. You did tell us that somehow these 25 folks would come to mind and somehow they would easily get to the same folks, and then that we would do the same thing. And ironically, this is playing out exactly the way you all said it would. And it was even more ironic that the 3 folks that they picked were the 3 folks that I had in mind, at the time with the information that we had. So again, thank you. And, again, I appreciate the work that the committee did. And I just find irony in that it's exactly the way you all said it would happen. Thank you.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? It really is amazing. I do want to get this in before we get that motion from Ms. Wright here. I know she's anxious to make it. That we, as we address the selection of the finalists to be interviewed by the board for the position of superintendent, all of us want to extend, as Ms. Haynes had alluded to earlier, our sincere gratitude to the community members who completed our electronic survey. Over 800 took part in that. Thank you. The time that other citizens made to send us emails, perhaps, or text messages, or made a phone call to us, and especially those 25, 26 individuals who participated in our community advisory committee. So we thank everyone for that. I was telling Kelly just before I walked in the door that I had a brief interview this morning on Spectrum Channel 13, and the first question from the reporter was, well, explain to me the process that you used to get this far. And I told her all the things that we had been doing. And then she said, why did you take the time to involve the public so much? You really did go out there. And I said, well, that's what the board wanted to do. That's what our consultants said, that it would be the right thing to do. And the board wanted to not rush this, and we haven't rushed it. We have just taken our time and methodically gone through the process to get us to the point where we are now. And as Mr. Colon said, we're on the same track with what the community is saying too. So I just want to commend everybody. I want to thank Kelly for keeping us on track with everything. Definitely want to thank Connie, who was kind of like the conduit here to get everything going for each of us. Just a super job. And of course, to Bill and John, who have been with us all the way. So you guys. And now it gets to the exciting time, and we can make a motion, and then we have a little bit of work to do after we make the motion. So Ms. Wright.
Mr. Chairman, I recommend that we move forward with the three said names. Number 12, Dr. Ronald Scott Fitz. Number 34, Dr. Peter Licata. And number
23.
And number 23, Dr. David Kenneth Moore.
We have a motion, we have a second.
I second it.
From Ms. Haynes, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. And those opposed, and the motion carries unanimously for these three finalists. Wow.
Well, thank you very much. We've enjoyed being part of the process. Just a couple of immediate next steps. Mrs. Messina will notify those unsuccessful candidates and thank them for applying, and she will take care of that today. John and I will notify the finalists, and I believe Kelly is going to do a press release as soon as she's able to do it here. And now, John, you wanted to talk about the interview schedules for 3.
Oh, yes.
Yes, now that we have finalized that we will interview 3 finalists for the position, I believe on your screen there's in your board pack, and it's up on these screens, there's a sample of the interview schedule with 3 finalists. And if you would please, if you're looking at that, if you could look to the far right on that Friday, and you see the board members across the top there. And with 3 finalists, if you'll notice, let's say the first column under the board member room to be determined, that board member, whoever that might be, will interview the finalist A from 8:30 to 9:30, and then really have a break until the afternoon to interview. If you look at across that chart, you would look to the far right, for an example, and see that the last board member would not start interviewing. These are the one-on-one interviews until 11 o'clock. So there is kind of a little different schedule, and just because there are 5 board members and 3 finalists, there'll be a couple of breaks in this schedule. And I wanted to give the board, Mr. Chair, the opportunity of who I would assign to those various slots. So for an example, the first board member, if that schedule would benefit anyone for you to kind of discuss among yourselves.
Right.
Or I could simply just add the
Well,
board members' names by district across the
Sure.
top.
Let's do
whatever.
this, since that is, is that a Friday?
Yes.
Friday, okay. So that is a work day, and normally I like to give Mr. Colon and Ms. Wright kind of the preference there on what times they would prefer, what works for you all. And so, Ms. Wright, I'll let you pick
I'm trying to
the best
pull up-
schedule.
I thought I had it on my desktop.
Okay.
I'm trying to pull up
It's
that
all right.
actual schedule. Is it in board docs, Connie? Is that in board docs?
Mr. Colon, do you have a preference?
No,
I want
I'm
you to.
actually coming back from a conference the day before, so I won't be at work this day at all. I'm good with whatever nobody else wants.
Okay, so we'll let Ms. Wright decide first, and then we can just all fill in around that, and shouldn't be very difficult now that there's only three.
Right. Because I would like to get this, with some specificity here, so board members know what their schedule would be, and also we can post it on the website with the finalist names and this schedule.
Sure. So if I'm looking at that correctly, if my eyes, I feel like I'm having an eye exam, like A, B, second column A. So if you do the first one, then you're finished at, what time does that say? 12? No, 10:30?
Well, now,
If you
if-
do ABC,
If you're the first board member
Yeah.
going from left to right, you would start from 8:30 to 9:30 to interview candidate A,
right?
and then you're done until you come back at 1:30 to 2:30 to interview candidate C. And after that, 2:45 to 3:45, you interview candidate B. So the board member kind of goes down the column.
I got it.
Goes down the column,
I
I'm
got you
sorry.
now, because there's only ABC, so there's
Yes.
no more, don't have to worry about D.
No, I mean,
Linda, do you need to choose first?
I'm saying you can, because Fridays I'm flexible, so go ahead.
Linda, choose first.
I can either be the third or fourth board member.
Whatever one works best for you.
Yeah, Linda, just
I'm
go
just
ahead.
thinking of
Just go ahead.
traffic.
Pick one.
Getting
Like,
all the way back.
when do you want your first interview?
I can do the fourth one,
The
Okay.
fourth one.
So that would start you at 9:45?
9:45. I get out of that morning traffic, and I can, otherwise it doubles my time to get here.
And then
coming
you're
through
done
DeLand.
at 2:30 in the afternoon?
And
Yep.
then,
Yep.
2:30.
Okay, so that would be appropriate for Ms. Cuthbert.
Okay, excellent, thank you. Ms. Wright, you want to weigh in, or you still,
On the 8th, so your first interview is at what time?
9:45, 9:45, 10:45.
I don't mind having all mine in the afternoon, but I know that will not work. But, if you want 8:30, I just don't want 8:30.
Would the last one to the far right, where your day would start, your first interview from 11 to 12?
That works.
And then your last one would be 2:45 to 3:45?
That works for me.
So the furthest one to the right, I will put in Ms. Wright.
Ms. Wright, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wright.
What do you want, Mr. Persis, since you live?
No, I'm going to take whatever's left, so you guys pick whatever you
What
want.
do you want, Ruben?
Ms. Haynes, go ahead, pick whatever's good for you.
Okay, I mean, if you
Yeah.
guys don't want to choose.
Yeah, pick.
I'll take the middle one and start at 8:30 and be finished at noon, if that's,
Perfect.
unless
Yeah.
either one of you want it.
No, no.
Okay.
And Mr.
Thank you,
Cologne,
Ms.
go ahead.
Haynes.
And I'm okay with the first one only because arguably I'm close enough where I can leave and come back without a problem, so I think that'll fit best.
Okay.
Okay,
So
I'll wait for
Mr.
John
Cologne
to
will take
catch
the
up now.
first
You have
one, and then
everything?
Mr. Persis, you would be the second one in.
Are
Okay.
you sure about that? 'Cause,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
if you
absolutely.
want to switch with me, I can
I'm good.
go
I'm
home
good.
and come back.
I'm
Okay.
good, but thank you for asking, yeah.
And my last item would be, I think there are two board members that still owe our clerk to the agency clerk a few questions.
Oh, okay, okay,
I
questions?
will not mention names.
Okay. And they need to get those in by before the 29th, is that it, or before the?
Yes, the sooner the better, and we'll
Okay.
draft interview guides, personalized interview guides based on your questions.
Okay,
And I'm-
Ms. Wright, yes.
And I'm one, Mr. Chair, because my question, am I just drafting questions, the ones that I'm asking, or the ones I would like for my colleagues and me to ask? That is my question.
The ones that you would be asking under your section,
Okay,
just those.
okay,
But then the other questions you can use as follow-up questions if other board members ask questions in that category. And then when you do your one-on-ones, you can ask those other questions.
okay.
Okay, and I don't mind saying that I'm the other one because I have two large categories, human resources and operations. And what I was told was it's only 5 questions is what you want. And yet, when you look at even the questions that you sent us to consider, you had large number of questions under both of those categories. So, and they're great questions, so to narrow it down to 5 is where I have struggled, because both of those areas I mean, human resources is very important, but so is operations. It's not, so I need assistance if you really only want 5 questions, because it's difficult to encompass those 2 areas with only 5 questions.
I can give away 2 on my section.
You will have that opportunity to ask multitude of those questions individually, you know, when you do the one-on-ones. So I would just try to select some that you think are most pertinent, although you're exactly right, there are a lot of questions.
I can yield 2 of my questions too, because, I mean, communication, nobody's gonna come here and say, I don't wanna communicate. And so I think that some
Yeah,
of those
but-
operational
but,
ones.
you know, because we each received a list of, like,
Right.
pre-selected, and mine's 2 pages of pre-selected questions to narrow to 5, because those are 2 large.
Sections.
Here's what we could do. Why don't we do this then? What if Mr. Cologne would allow you to find about 7 or questions
You
or
can
8?
do 7. I'll yield
And
2.
then, Mr. Cologne will do 2, and then when we're doing the round of questionings, normally we're finished earlier than the whole hour and a half, and then we can come back to those areas.
Well, or what I was gonna say is, you know, if he doesn't want 5 questions on communication, and so we could make 3 of his on, you know, or 2 of them on human resources, and he can ask those 2. Do you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So we're still all asking
Okay,
the
that's
same
fine.
amount. It's just to bring those 2 categories down to 5, I have struggled.
I agree, so I think, Mr. Cologne, then you're gonna come up with some human resource?
Well, or if he wants to come over here and sit next to me, I've got,
Pick them out.
No, so I'll do my top 3, which I submitted them in the order of
Right.
importance for me, and then Ms. Hain can submit the 7.
Okay.
And there we go.
and he can take 2 of them,
Yes.
is that
Yeah,
fair?
that's
that's
fine.
how we'll do it, because you'll
Yeah,
each
you-
will still have 5.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's right, that sounds really good. Thank you for that area.
okay.
Yeah. We will be very strict on the timeline on that particular day to make sure we stay on time, and we'll be on site here, working with Kelly to make sure we kind of keep, when we're doing the board interviews, that we're right on time. We'll have timekeeping, it's an hour and a half, but it goes fast, and then we'll give the candidate and the board members adequate time, you know, to be prepared, and how long they have left in the interview.
Talk to us a little bit about what each of us can do now in regard, what we can do, what shouldn't do. I know we can't talk to each other, but I'm saying in terms of, can we call these candidates? Can we call their superintendent? Can we call their school board members where they work? Talk to us a little bit and guide us.
I'll start, and then John can pick up. I don't recommend calling the candidates directly, but as far as calling board members, your fellow board members, and the superintendent, you can do that. Certainly in your areas, reach out to the professionals in areas that might know. For example, Mr. Cologne is in the healthcare business. Maybe there's someone in that chain or something that's worked with that school district. So it's pretty much open for you to do any sort of checking that you'd like to do and calling on references. I think it's going to be really important. I think board members are key. We have an ongoing background check process that Mrs. Messina will be communicating with board members on, and also working through Mr. Doran on that process. So during this next period of time, we'll be having those communications will be ongoing there. And so it's pretty much open for how you would like to move forward in doing your reference checking. We'll still be doing reference checking also.
Okay. Can you guide us a little bit on the social media part of this? And maybe Kelly knows, you know what I'm talking about. Now everyone knows who the 3 finalists are. Everyone has access to their applications. Everyone out there, not everyone, but you know what I mean. Those who are concerned will be doing their due due diligence too. And the only thing that I caution everyone is to try to keep everything positive about all three of these candidates. Obviously, they have excellent reputations, well thought of in their communities and by their supervisors. And so just want to make sure that, it doesn't go kind of crazy because of whatever reason against one or more of these candidates. Not that we're going to do any of that, but you know what I'm saying. There are folks out there that may favor a particular person and want to guide the social media conversation toward that person because that person is a strong advocate for whatever flag that individual is raising. So, yes, Ms. Haynes.
So, first of all, I want to say thank you very much for sending us the questions, late Friday evening so that we could read them. What I'd like to ask is we've been transparent so far, and we, with Kelly and the Florida School Board Association, have tried to stay ahead so that the information's released from us before it's released from someone else. It is not worked out as well, because I really think we should be the group releasing the information each time. So I'd like to make this request, if it's okay with everyone else, since we got the answers to the questions and they seem to have already been released and shared in the newspaper, but I'd really like to direct people just to go to our website to read everything, not go to the newspaper, not go to social media to read it. Can we go ahead and, since they've already been released, put the answers to the questions that we asked also on the web? I really would like to just direct people to the website. Read your resumes on the website, read their answers to the questions on the website. Instead of, and I'm not against the news media, but there should be one location instead of the social media, all these other people that have released information prior to us releasing.
Well said. So, I agree with you. Yeah, Ms. Cuthbert.
I agree totally, because when it comes from us, it's unbiased. We are here as a positive, proactive body to bring positive, proactive innovation to the district. We touch everyone in our county. We're the largest. We have the largest budget. We're the largest employer. Everyone is influenced one way or the other. If it's not traffic, it's through business, it's through our neighborhood schools, it's real estate, everything, it's our chambers. We affect everyone's lives, and it needs to be as positive and upbeat as possible and as unbiased as possible. We need to make sure that we maintain that. And I totally agree. The information, one message, has to come from the district. Has to come from the district.
Mr. Cologne, do you have?
No,
Yeah.
I think that, we're in a scenario now where none of these three folks are known to any of us.
Yeah.
And so I think that that's gonna make it a little bit more unbiased. I will tell you, I've had board members from other districts reach out and say, hey, this person is amazing.
Great, yeah.
And there's really not much we could do about that. And, and I appreciate their input. And so I think that, now that we've come down to the wire, it's really based on the merit of our questions in our interview.
Yeah, exactly. Ms. Cuthbert,
I have
yes.
a couple of questions.
Sure, yeah, questions.
As we go forward with these three gentlemen are coming from larger districts with more funding. I would kind of like to know, before we make our final decision, so before we decide, what is the salary that any one of these three are going to suggest? I mean, I'm sure they're going to advocate for a certain salary. I would like to know that ahead of time, if possible. I would also, I mean,
You can't do that.
you can't do that? You can't do that? Okay, I didn't
Yeah.
know.
But I don't think we have that answer anyway, right?
Oh, okay.
I mean, I'm sure these candidates haven't said, I want him here for less than blank.
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
I didn't know. This is.
No, that's a
all
good
right.
question to
Appropriate
ask.
to ask.
Okay.
They know what
The
we
range,
publish
yes.
Range.
as our range.
Yes,
Okay.
and
So we're the ones that present that.
correct. And all of them, certainly their salaries are public record. So,
Their current
Yeah,
salary.
their salaries are
yeah,
public.
right.
Okay, and the second question I have, in the past, some superintendents have come to the district with someone else. They said, I can't do my job unless I bring this person along with me. Could that happen? I mean, Dr. Smith did that. She brought a couple people with her.
Well, did you all want to answer it first, and then I'll move over to Ms. Wright, but
We'll hear the
Ms.
board's
Wright.
comments
Go
first.
ahead, Ms. Wright.
So I see this totally different than probably those of you in education and business. It is very common. And that was why I asked that we didn't do some of the things that we did, because if I was gonna be a superintendent, I probably would bring 1 or 2 people with me. I mean, that's just common, that's business. And I think it's unfair. We're gonna hire somebody and then dictate what they can do. That's not fair to them, you can't do that. You have to allow that person to be able to make some decisions on their own. And I don't care what organization it would be, and Volusia will not be any different. They will be making some organizational changes, and we just have to gotta accept
Yeah.
it.
I didn't say yes or no to this. I was just asking if that's going to
But I
happen.
doubt they'll tell us, but I would bank 99.9%. All 3 of them, of course, they know who they want. They know what their team should look like to be successful. We got some deep demands we're asking. And they gotta make sure that they have assembled a team that can deliver what we're asking, so quite
Yes.
naturally. I mean, that's my opinion.
Yeah, yeah. And I think because of our timeline, that they're going to start in January, and they'll get to see what's going on here for 6 months, it would be likely that in the summer, June, they'll come back to the board and say, I'd like to recommend we hire so-and-so, and to implement what they would like for us. Yes.
And
Mr. Colon.
consistent with current practice and statutorily, once we hire a superintendent, hiring and firing is based on them. And so I would hate to tie their hands if need be, but we really truly don't have any say over personnel now based on our current model.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
And-
which.
And I think Mr. Egner wanted to ask a question or weigh in on here, just on something.
It's not related to what you're talking about now. My question was, early on in the process, I was told if someone reached out to me, I could speak to them.
Certainly.
Now that it's been rendered down to the top 3, I wondered if there were any different instructions as to if someone reaches out to me.
No, not at all. In fact, I think that it would be positive. If I were in that top 3, I would be calling you, listen, what are the current issues?
Exactly.
Where we are. But I think that, in answer to what you're saying is, I think you've allowed some transition time, and I think that's going to be critical. Mr. Egner will have a new role in helping with that transition from his leadership position. And so I think that's going to really help. And like Mr. Persis said, there's this 6-month period. Your timing is actually perfect for a new person to start, because he'll be able to look and get to know the staff and kind of make some recommendations based on what he sees.
Ms. Haynes.
So, Mr. Egner, to piggyback off of what you said and just ethically my thoughts on this, I think if any of the candidates reach out to any of us, and say all 3 do, I'm not anticipating that, but say that they do, I would, if I were providing them with information or answering a question, I would give them all 3 the same information if they asked. Like, I wouldn't change my responses based on who they are to just be, and I'm not saying that you wouldn't, but I mean,
Right.
If they call and say, so what do you consider to be, the greatest area of need? I would give that information to all 3 if they ask that, and, not change my response. Because the problem is we get tied up in like, oh, I kind of like, or this person's easier to talk to, but I think we need to just stay above board, and whatever information we provide to any one of them, if it's asked, it'd be the same information for all 3.
Yeah. It's funny, as I've gone through this before, we're kind of thinking about them and doing our homework on them. They do their homework on each of us.
In fact, they're
That's what they do.
They're listening right now.
That's what they're
as we
doing.
speak.
Because what matters is the 5 of us now, and they want to figure out what makes you tick and what's important to you, and what's important to you, and what do I need, that's what they're going to be doing.
If I may, I'd like some clarification on what Ms. Haynes is referencing. If I understand the instruction, it is if I get contacted by any or all the candidates, any and all questions that they ask me, I answer and then send the answer that I gave them to the other candidates and to the board?
No.
No,
No.
I just meant that, so if Mrs. Wright calls and asks you what's the greatest need, and she's a candidate, and I call and ask you what's the greatest need, I just want you to give both candidates the same answer.
Oh, I see.
I'm not
Very good.
saying you have to reach out and tell the others. I'm just saying that, you know, whatever answer we provide to one, if the next one asks the same question.
If they ask the same. Very good, thank you. So, in other words, you're asking me to be consistent. Okay.
I'm asking you.
I don't think we have to worry about that.
Consistently honest.
I was gonna say, I'm
Please
usually
be
so
honest.
flighty about my answers,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
so,
yeah,
you know.
yeah.
Consistent and honest, even if it's not.
One other
Dr.
thing,
Vogel, yeah,
too.
go ahead.
These three individuals have very high-level positions, and it's likely that you might find something that they did that did not please somebody.
Imagine that, yeah.
So if anything turns up, just keep that in mind, that, you know, it's pretty hard to make everybody happy as much as we try. Also, if anything comes up that is a worry to any of you, please call John or myself. If you hear anything at any time about someone, please let us know, because we can go ahead and track it down for you. You know, we'd be happy to do that and get right back with you on that.
No, sir, I have nothing to add, just, we're tentatively scheduled to come back on the 29th.
And what kind of communication would be proper, let's say, from one of those candidates to one of us?
I don't believe they will be contacting board members individually. We don't recommend that.
Okay,
We
good.
can't tell them not to do it. We recommend they don't do it, but if someone does it, we don't have any
I mean,
control.
sometimes they may call and just want to say, thank you for your vote or support or something like that.
Right, if I can, I hear Ms. Messina in the back of my head, and I think her statement would be very cautious that you don't make any indication that you're my preferred candidate, or, yes, I think you're going to do well here, and meaning, it's just, you know, very professional, as I'm sure you all will be.
Thank you,
Yes,
Ms.
we will.
Messina.
Yes.
Connie, question?
Do you think we need the 29th?
The only item really that's on here would be to kind of review the method process for selection of the superintendent after the interviews are over. And quite honestly, it's very similar to what you did today. So I don't really, we will be here if asked to be here, or if you
Okay.
feel there's no
So
need.
we have it as a placeholder right now on the 29th? Ms. Cuthbert?
Would you let us know to make sure that all three candidates have accepted? Because somebody might go, oh my goodness, I just thought I'd throw a fish in the pond to see if somebody caught it. And if they're caught, I'd like to know, they might go, whoa, or maybe their district, realizing that they might be, on the verge of leaving, will come back and give them a much better deal. So I would like to know.
It happens. It happens.
Yeah, yes, it could very
Yeah.
easily happen. I'd like to know if they're still in it.
Okay, I believe, Dr. Vogel, our plan is to call them on the way home, and since I have your individual email addresses from last Friday evening, I will let you know something tonight.
We have
Excellent.
been in contact with all the candidates, but, these three are very excited about the possibility of coming here. So I think we have three solid people that are going to stay, in the running, but we will definitely follow up on it.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Ms. Wright, go ahead.
Because that is a pretty good question, but none of their current superintendents have indicated that they're leaving. Am I correct? None of them are in their districts or looking for a superintendent.
Correct. That's correct.
We'll know by the 22nd when the agenda goes live if they're going to come back or not.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say, yeah.
So I'll
Okay.
Yeah, you can let us know. Ted, any comments about this process?
No, I think we're good.
We're good?
We're good.
Everybody's good? The committee's good? They're out of the sunshine now and
Yep.
all the process? Kelly, anything we need to let the media know? I'm sure it's out there already,
Yeah.
social media anyway, huh?
I'll be posting everything on the website that was asked and sending out a press release today. And I'm in the process of working on the tours for the candidates on that Thursday. So that's why I might have a buzzer that day for my, they're like down to a strict timeline, like 15 minutes for this and a half an hour for this, so.
Because this is not just news in Volusia, it's news for, in their districts, it'll be in the news.
Right.
You know, in
Right.
Osceola, Dade, Broward, wherever they're from.
Sure.
Yes, Palm Beach, excuse me. Jamie, do you have a question? Yeah.
So on that tour, the thing is, we're a large district, and it's looking as if they'll only visit 2 sites. My concern with that is, you know, I know the tendency would be to show them, well, the 2 best, like, building sites or whatever, but that's not the reality.
Right.
And I also know, because they're starting on the east side, the thought could be, well, we'll just show them the east side, but we're leaving out the west side.
I already thought of that.
Okay,
She's
I
already
got that.
okay, because we have high poverty, and then we have
Right.
affluent areas,
Right.
and
Okay, so the schools I tentatively was putting into my draft tour schedule was Palm Terrace, Sweetwater, and DeLand High School,
so they're gonna see 3.
3. So
No
2,
middle schools?
Ruben's upset, because there's.
well, I know, it's tough,
I was
it's,
thinking Osteen Elementary would be the easiest.
yeah.
What?
That's as far south as it goes. That's fine. I mean, it's obviously the time is.
Well, those are the 3. It is timing, and it's really tough with the first candidate was no problem, and then the next 2, it's shifting around, and you want to have the tour not be broken up by the interview. That's a lot for a candidate, so we're trying to figure, and if they're staying on the east side, we thought one would start on the east side and head this way, and then the other one would come right to DAC, the second person come to DAC, and then head the opposite way, and then another person would have to start in the middle somewhere, and we're also trying to coordinate with the Futures folks, so they can take them around on the tours, and their spouses.
So, can I just throw out a suggestion?
Sure.
Because you did put 2 elementary, and it'd be
Right.
nice to do middle school. So, you have several middle schools on the east side.
We
of
do.
the
We could do a middle school.
Creek
If we
side.
do, I would suggest doing it in the, somehow it'd have to be in the morning, because, well, I mean, it could, I'm sorry, back up. It could be later in the afternoon than the elementary, because they get out so much later, and traffic patterns and all of that, so, yeah.
Right.
Okay.
We'll,
Well, or you could do a middle school coming this way. I mean, whatever
Right.
works, but I am
Right.
with Ms. Cuthbert. I'd like them to see all 3 levels. And I do, I'm good with Palm Terrace, because that's our,
yeah,
you know.
I'm sure we can work out a
Creekside
middle school.
is
We have
strategically
10.
located.
13, we'll be able to figure out one. Mr. Egner, you had to go.
Yeah, and this probably doesn't need to be said, but I was thinking about some of what you said, actually, Ms. Haynes. You know, after this meeting and from here on through the rest of this process, you may get contacted by the press every day. I don't know that there's anything to say other than official press release, you know, through the offices there. So I would just consider that. And I'm listening to Bill, what you're saying about anything, any nuance or anything that gets said that someone interprets as you're leaning towards this person or not this person or whatever. The way that gets depicted in the media, which is not a criticism of the media, that's their job. I just think it could risk unneeded criticism where no criticism is necessary. However, if we have just one statement from Kelly and that's the only thing that gets reported, then you don't have to worry about that. It's just a thought.
Ms. Wright.
And I agree, because lately I have been contacted, but I actually, in all fairness, not send them to Kelly, I really do send them to the chair, because he's supposed to be the spokesperson for the chair.
Right.
So either one of them, but I don't give comments, I always direct them to you.
Well, and up until now, it's been questions about the process. Now it probably will be questions about the personalities
And
involved.
it's so easy for us to respond because we were unanimous on
There you go.
the 3 candidates. And if anybody asked me, that's what I would say. That we have 3 outstanding candidates, and the board was unanimous.
I was
And their
thinking more,
support.
you're gonna get questions, why not so-and-so, why not so-and-so? That's really what I'm thinking. And that's a harder question to answer
Sure.
because you really don't know everyone's motives.
No, but I don't go there, so, you know, I keep it positive. Yeah, only about those 3. All right, other concerns from the board, questions? Everybody's comfortable? We've had a great process, open, transparent, involved as many people as we possibly could have. I'm really proud of what we have done. Kelly, any last words before we need to go?
No, I don't think so.
All right, then,
Thank
once
you.
again, thank you, everyone. We are adjourned.
Thank you.